The farmhouse creaked under the weight of a humid July night. Sarah, a young veterinarian, jolted awake. A strange rhythmic hum pulsed outside, unlike anything she'd ever heard. Panic clawed at her throat as a blinding white light flooded her bedroom window.
Ethan!
She screamed, scrambling out of bed. Her husband was gone. Frantic, Sarah rushed outside. The light emanated from a hovering, metallic disc unlike any aircraft she knew. Then, a searing pain lanced through her neck, and the world dissolved into darkness. Sarah awoke disoriented, strapped to a cold, metallic table. Everything around her was sterile white, filled with blinking lights and strange devices. Panic bloomed in her chest.
Where am I? What's going on?
A figure materialized beside the table. Tall and slender, with skin the color of moonlight and large, obsidian eyes, it moved with an unearthly grace. Sarah's breath hitched. Alien.
Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm. We are here to help.
The figure said in a voice that seemed to resonate from within her head, rather than through the air. Days blurred into weeks. Sarah was subjected to numerous painless tests. The beings, whom she learned were called the Aethel, communicated telepathically, their words a soothing hum in her mind. They explained they were from a distant world, studying a devastating plague that had ravaged humanity 200 years in the future. They needed genetic samples from the past to find a cure. Ethan's absence gnawed at Sarah. The Aethel revealed they'd taken him too, as his genetic makeup offered a valuable contrast. Sarah clung to the hope of seeing him again. One day, a new figure entered the room. He looked human, but something felt off. His eyes held a haunted depth.
Sarah?
Ethan!
He was thinner, his hair wild, but it was him. Relief washed over her, quickly replaced by dread.
They told me the truth, Sarah. The future, it's dying.
He recounted their ordeal. The year was 2247, and humanity was on the brink of extinction. The year Red Death, a hyperaggressive virus, ravaged the population. Sarah felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. They weren't just victims of an alien abduction, they were humanity's last hope. Days turned into weeks as the Aethel tirelessly analyzed their genetic material. The tension was thick. Sarah and Ethan found solace in each other, clinging to love as a shield against the weight of the future. One evening, the Aethel leader, a being called Leah, entered the room. Her normally calm demeanor was etched with worry.
We have encountered a problem. The Red Death has mutated. The genetic material we collected may not be enough.
Leah projected, her voice somber. Despair threatened to consume them. But Sarah, a veterinarian used to fight for life, refused to give up.
Isn't there anything else we can do? A test, another sample?
There is one possibility. A highly risky procedure that could alter your genetic makeup permanently.
Days later, Sarah and Ethan found themselves back in the sterile chamber. This time, the procedure was different. Pain unlike anything they'd experienced ripped through them, leaving them weak and trembling. When they awoke, Leah stood beside them, a glimmer of hope in her eyes.
The procedure was successful. Your genetic makeup has been modified to create a potential resistance to the Red Death virus.
Their hearts soared. But Leah warned them.
This doesn't guarantee a cure. You must return to your time and have children. It may take generations, but your descendants may hold the key to saving humanity.
The return was as sudden as their abduction. They reappeared in the now silent field, disoriented and weak. The metallic disc was gone. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she held Ethan close. They were back, changed forever. Life resumed, yet it was different. The knowledge of their future, the weight of responsibility hung heavy. They married, built a life, each child a precious step towards an unknown future. Years passed. Sarah became a renowned geneticist, her research subtly focused on potential resistance to viral mutations. News reports spoke of a resurgence of a long-dormant flu strain, exhibiting strange new characteristics. Sarah felt a chill crawl down her spine. Could it be the beginning? As Sarah reviewed her latest research, a news report blared on the TV. A team of scientists had made a breakthrough in understanding the recently mutated flu strain. One of the lead researchers looked vaguely familiar. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat. It was him. The haunted eyes, the sharp cheekbones. It was the man from the future, the one they'd briefly met on the Aethel ship. A wave of nausea washed over her. Was this the Red Death rearing its ugly head 200 years early? Had their sacrifice been in vain? She raced to the lab, desperation fueling her steps. The researcher's name was Dr. William Chun, and his research eerily mirrored the Red Death's early stages. Sarah knew she had to act. She barged into his office, her anxiety a palpable force.
Dr. Chen, I believe I might have some crucial information about your research.
Excuse me? Do I know you?
William looked up, startled. Sarah took a deep breath.
No, but I know about the virus. About the future.
Hesitantly, she recounted their entire ordeal, the Aethel, the Red Death, their desperate gamble. William listened intently, skepticism gradually melting into dawning horror as Sarah painted a picture of a dying future. His eyes mirrored the haunted depth she'd seen on the Aethel ship.
You're serious? This can't be real.
It is. And you might be the key to stopping it.
Together, they pored over Sarah's research and Dr. Chen's findings. The similarities were undeniable. With a renewed urgency, they collaborated. Sarah's modified genes offered a unique perspective on viral resistance, while Dr. Chen's cutting-edge technology provided a platform to test their theories. Sarah kept Ethan looped in, his stoicism masking a fear Sarah understood all too well. The fate of the future hung heavy in the air. Their breakthrough came unexpectedly. Sarah noticed a specific genetic sequence in her modified DNA that Dr. Chen's research hadn't considered. It was a potential weak spot in the virus's armor. They focused all their efforts on developing a vaccine targeting that specific sequence. Finally, after months of relentless work, they held a vial of clear liquid in their hands. Hope, a fragile flame, flickered in Sarah's chest. They tested it on genetically modified mice infected with the mutated flu strain. The results were astounding. The virus sputtered and died. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. They'd done it. Maybe. It was a small victory against a potentially world-ending threat, but it was a victory nonetheless. News of the vaccine spread like wildfire. Initially met with skepticism, the combination of Sarah's credentials and Dr. Chen's rising reputation in the scientific community lent it credibility. Soon, mass production began. It was a race against time, but with each passing day, hope grew. The mutated flu strain, thankfully, hadn't spread as rapidly as the Red Death in Sarah's visions. The vaccine contained it, effectively turning it into a minor, albeit unnerving, scare. Life returned to a semblance of normalcy for Sarah and Ethan. But the experience forever changed them. They carried the weight of a future saved, and the chilling knowledge that the threat could return, mutated and more resilient. Years passed. Sarah and Ethan raised their children, instilling in them a deep appreciation for life and a drive to understand the natural world. Every year, on the anniversary of their abduction, Sarah would stand in their field, gazing at the star-dusted night sky. A silent thank you resonated within her, a message sent across the vast expanse of time to the Aethel, for giving them the chance to fight. One seemingly ordinary day, an email from an unknown address landed in Sarah's inbox. Attached was a single image, grainy but unmistakable, a hovering metallic disc, eerily similar to the one that had taken them. The caption below it read simply, "For you are not alone." The image on her screen sent a jolt through Sarah. Fear mingled with a strange sense of anticipation. She glanced at Ethan, who sat across from her, engrossed in a scientific journal. Should she tell him? The weight of the unknown was heavy, but keeping such a secret felt wrong.
Ethan, there's something you need to see.
She started, her voice hesitant. He looked up, concern etching lines on his forehead. As her husband studied the image, the room fell silent. Finally he spoke, his voice low.
Do you think?
I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe someone found some old footage.
Sarah shook her head. The following days were filled with a nervous energy. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their ordeal wasn't over. Sleep was elusive, replaced by a constant vigil of the night sky, searching for any sign of the metallic disk. One evening, while walking their dog Pete, a familiar hum filled the air. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Ethan, sensing her fear, grasped her hand. They looked up, their gazes meeting. There, hovering silently above the treetops, was the disk. Panic threatened to consume Sarah, but Ethan squeezed her hand firmly.
We can do this, we know what to expect.
The blinding light bathed them again, and the familiar searing pain shot through their necks. When they regained consciousness, they were back on the sterile Aethel ship. Yet, this time, something was different. Leah, the Aethel leader, stood before them, but her usual calm demeanor was replaced by an air of urgency. Telepathic communication flooded Sarah's mind.
We need your help again. The Red Death has mutated. It's spreading faster, more aggressively than before.
Disappointment clawed at Sarah. Had their sacrifice been for nothing? Yet, a deep-seated determination rose within her. They couldn't give up. Not now.
We'll help in any way we can.
This time, it's not just about finding a cure. We need your expertise to understand the source of the mutation. There may be a connection to Earth's changing environment.
Leah's telepathic voice softened. This was uncharted territory. Sarah glanced at Ethan, a silent question hanging in the air. He met her gaze, a steely glint reflecting the determination in his own eyes. Together, they nodded at Leah. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah and Ethan, alongside the Aethel scientists, delved into the complexities of the new Red Death variant. They shared their knowledge of Earth's ecosystems, the delicate balance threatened by human actions. As they delved deeper, a horrifying realization dawned. The mutation seemed to be a defense mechanism of the virus, adapting to the vaccine Sarah and Dr. Chun had developed. It was a chilling reminder that the fight for survival was an ongoing battle. Finally, after weeks of tireless work, a breakthrough emerged. The Aethel scientists, with Sarah and Ethan's insights, identified a specific environmental factor that was accelerating the virus's mutation. It was a combination of rising global temperatures and the overuse of certain antibiotics in livestock farming. Hope flickered anew. If they could address these factors, they could slow down the mutation rate, giving them a fighting chance to develop a more effective vaccine. The Aethel, deeply concerned about Earth's future, offered a startling solution. They would share advanced technology to help humanity combat climate change and promote sustainable practices. In return, Sarah and Ethan would become ambassadors between their species, fostering understanding and collaboration. Returning to Earth, Sarah and Ethan found themselves thrust into the heart of a global movement. Armed with the Aethel's technology and their first-hand experience, they became vocal advocates for environmental protection and responsible use of antibiotics. The road ahead was long and arduous. Skepticism and entrenched interests remained powerful forces. But Sarah and Ethan, forever bound by their ordeal, faced the future with unwavering determination. They were the bridge between two worlds, carrying the weight of a future saved, and the hope of a future shared. Their journey wasn't just about saving humanity from a deadly virus, but about forging a sustainable path for generations to come. It was a daunting task, but as Sarah looked at her children playing under a clear blue sky, she knew it was a fight worth fighting. The message from the Aethel echoed in her mind, a constant reminder, "You are not alone."